Are you tired of the same game every night? Christopher Walken edition, Cards Against Humanity?
Bet you wish this was real, don't you?
Well, then let me show you 5 games I'd recommend to anyone. These are all different types of games. They're all, I want to say below $50. And they're all games I would recommend to anyone wanting to get further into the board game hobby. Coming in at number 5 is Betrayal at House on the Hill. This was the first one a friend got me that I really was just like, board games are neat. And Betrayal at House on the Hill was that for me. This is the 2nd edition. They have a 3rd edition coming out soon. Oh yeah, by the way, this game is by Avalon Hill, and they also have 2 other versions of the game. Scooby-Doo and Betrayal at Baldur's Gate edition. This one's Dungeons and Dragons theme, and it's made in association with Wizards of the Coast. That's pretty cool. And this one is so you can play with your kiddos. And not only that, it doesn't have a haunt matrix, and you get to pick who the traitor is. And they're all based on episodes and movies of Scooby-Doo. Pretty sick. But for now, let's focus on this. Betrayal at House on the Hill is a 3 to 5 player thematic horror dungeon crawling-esque game where you and 3 other friends will build and explore a haunted house together initially. And as you explore, you'll run into haunted happenings such as encounters with demons, ghosts, and other supernatural events which you'll resolve from the event deck. Also, while you're building and exploring the house, you'll encounter omens, which are very important to the game because these will determine what happens next in the game in the haunt phase. When you see an omen, draw it from the omen deck, take ownership of it, resolve it, and then make a haunt roll. On a roll of 6 or more, the haunt begins. Once that happens, simply open up the Traitor's Tome, find the room where the omen was revealed and the item revealed, and then go to that page in the Traitor's Tome and set up for the next phase of the game, the haunt. In this, one of the characters is revealed to be the traitor, or sometimes there is no traitor at all, and the game gets spicy from there. Also, there's so many haunts in this that I've never played the same one twice, and they're all very unique and a blast. And that's Betrayal at House on the Hill. I love all 3 of them. I think they're all 3 unique enough to where owning them all is pretty justifiable. Especially the Scooby-Doo one, which is good if you just want a more lightweight version of an already easy-to-play game. Let's move on to the next game. Alright, we've done thematic dungeon crawling horror game. Now we're going to move on to Worker Placement with Dice Hospital by Alley Cat Games. This game has a solo mode, so it's for 1 to 4 players, and it goes like this. Dice Hospital is a worker placement game, and your workers are represented by these little nurse meeples. At the start of the game, everybody draws 3 random dice and adds them to the purgatory white abyss that is the hospital waiting room. Next, you're going to grab more dice from the bag, roll them, assign them to ambulances, pick an ambulance, and add those patients to your hospital as well. Next, we're going to improve our hospital by either adding another wing, or you'll hire one of the specialists available for the round and take their matching colored meeple and add them to your hospital staff. Now let's show an example of treating a patient. We're going to move this nurse to oncology and heal 1 yellow die by 1. Once a die reaches above 6, they are moved to discharge. If a patient is neglected, they'll lower their count by 1, and if they go past 1, they go to the morgue. Then you'll get a body bag token which will count against you at the end of the game. Once you discharge a bunch of patients at once for a better score, you'll move your matching colored syringe up the scoreboard. You'll do this for 8 rounds. The player with the highest score wins. If you want to spice up the game, use event cards. In solo mode, you'll be completing these charts where you have to cure combinations of patients in order to score. And if solving the little puzzle of how to run an efficient hospital sounds like your kind of thing that you want to maybe even do by yourself with their fantastic solo mode, then this little gem is for you. Moving on. Let's throw racing into the mix with Jamaica by Space Cowboys Games. But there's more. Their rulebook, this thing has tabs for very specific rules that you want to reference as quickly as possible. Meaning when you're starting this game out and you just need to quickly I don't know, look at combat. There it is. Plain as day. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Also, on the back, there's little blurbs about all the characters that you play as, which are, as I discovered one night while Googling all of these people at like 2 a.m, were real pirates, some of which also died in Jamaica. That's pretty cool. That's great attention to detail, which I really like. Not only that, the insert is the bomb. I mean, look at it. There's little nooks to put the boats and cards in front of those as well. Not only that, even the little treasure tokens and the treasure cards get their own little slot. There's a slot for all of the resources. It's chef's kiss. I love it. It's also good for summertime because it's hot as actual hell outside. You know what? Quick aside, I'm going to see how hot it is right now. All right, as of recording this video, it's 112 degrees outside. You can hear your skin boiling at that temperature. Okay, that's it for Jamaica. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we've covered racing. We've covered thematic horror dungeon crawling. We've covered worker placement, racing. Let's throw a curveball in the mix. Terror Below by Renegade Studios. They are also responsible for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, which is a great game, but it's a little too difficult at times to the point where I'm just like, why? But that's a video for another time. Right now, let's focus on this, which is essentially What If Tremors, but a board game. And without Kevin Bacon. Let's take a look. Terror Below is a pickup and delivery game, meaning you're going to be picking up these eggs and delivering them to specific locations across the board, or trying to kill these giant worms lurking beneath the sand, represented by these tokens. Fulfilling these bounties will score you victory points. At the start of the game, each player gets 3 leaders which kind of act as your lives and the characters you play as. Each one has its own unique little perk. On your turn, you play a vehicle card on one of the worms in the terror zone. Keep in mind, once a worm has reached its card limit, it will attack, but more on that later. Each vehicle card has a number printed in the top left, which tells you how many actions you can do. Then there's Distracting the Worm, which is a very juicy and thematic way you're going to manipulate the worm's movement on the board, shown by these arrows. You'll either be bringing it closer to yourself to take them out, or closer to other players to get them killed. And then of course there's Resolving an Ability. Alright, let's talk actions. There's the Move action, which will cost you 1 action point per space of movement. Remove Rubble, which works the same as movement, where you'll remove rubble in any space adjacent to you. Once you remove 3, you can draw an item card or a weapon card. Then there's Pickup, which will allow you to pick up all the eggs in your space, but it will end your turn immediately. And then of course, Deliver, which will allow you to deliver an egg to the location you're on. Delivering eggs to specific locations will grant you bonuses, as well as hopefully being able to complete one of the bounties. For example, if you deliver to the police station, you get a weapon card. If you deliver to the hospital and say one of your characters died in the game, you get to revive them for later use. And check for a worm attack. If a worm attack is triggered, look at the worm's card and determine where the rubble's going to start flying. If it's going onto your space and you have no means to defend yourself, your character dies. You'll then flip your leader over to their deceased side, and at the start of your next turn, you'll be able to place yourself on any open location space on the board. If, however, you have weapons or items to defend yourself, you'll engage in combat. Combat is simply resolving any items you have and possibly rolling some dice. You will have to damage the worm up to its full health amount. If you don't, you die. The player who lands the killing blow on the worm receives 1 victory point, as well as any victory points for any bounties on the board, corresponding to that worm's death. The first player to reach 20 victory points wins. And that's Terror Below. I love the egg-shaped board and that it's double-sided and it has like a crevice that you can jump over. Not only that, the fact that the rulebook has different game modes and variants so you can tailor your experience to whatever you're in the mood for at the time. And it's very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, the art's cool, the texture on the rulebook's nice, and the components overall are just really pleasing. And that's it for my top 5 or 8 or 9 if you're keeping track of all the extra things I threw in there. These are just games I wanted to recommend that are more on the less expensive side and on medium complexity, just for just like a nice little just jump right in kind of experience. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.